So this is before. So we can do the second. Dwellings and garage apartments and treasure, that just need to.
Just pull, why don't you just pull those two that Joe's recused from and we'll do the rest.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and then we'll pull 35 South Shore, we'll pull 22 Pleasant, and we'll do the rest
Wait, hold on.
for A&Rs. Cause the 22 Pleasant had
Oh,
a
okay,
submission defect, and then if you had to recuse from,
All right, so they know that this is not gonna be heard.
I mean, I've sent several emails, so
Okay.
I don't know what else I can do.
And then I, B. Hunson Road.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the planning board meeting Monday, May 13th. Now I lost my, this meeting is being audio recorded and video recorded. All votes will be conducted by roll call. Attendees via Zoom must use their real names for accurate minutes. The chair will recognize participants to speak. In-person participants and Zoom attendees attendees, if you can keep that. Sorry, it's the first time I've read this, it's annoying. Chair will recognize all participants to speak. Mute yourself when not speaking, please. Remember not to share your screen if you're on Zoom. All public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. You will monitor that, please. Thank you. Great. Present today are Joe Topham, Nat Lowell, Barry Rector is not present. Online, we have John Kitchener and Abby D. Molina. Steph? Oh, and Stephen Welch, I didn't see him. Is he still on there? I don't see him. Oh, there he is. Okay, perfect. Staff members, Megan Trudell,
Present.
Catherine Ancero, and William Sott.
Here.
Great. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So move, Mr. Chair.
That's it.
Oh, second.
Second. Motion made by Joe, seconded by Nat. Joe? Aye. Nat?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. First thing on the agenda is public comment. Do we have anything here for public comment on things that aren't otherwise on the agenda? Nobody online?
We have Ann Cuspa online.
Oh, okay, great. Welcome, Ann.
Good afternoon, Ann Cuspa here, Housing Nantucket. First, I just wanted to thank you all for your support of my citizens.
Ann, can you hold on one sec?
How do we fix that?
No, hold on one sec. We just have a technical issue here. It seems like the sound is really weird. Can you speak again, Ann?
Testing.
Well, I think it's because we're hearing now.
How do I shut that off?
Turn them off on the iPad, so if you try and hold it, goes right back up.
All right, then I'll just log out of this then. If that's causing it, I'll just leave the meeting and stay at the meeting at the same time. Okay.
Ann, speak again, please.
Testing, test.
I mean, I'll exit out too.
Let's trying to be fancy like Joe, but
Yeah, well, I think I think all of us are in the same
Sorry,
place.
guys.
Okay, yeah, so this is our first hybrid, so we apologize. And why don't you go ahead now and try to speak clearly because it's a little fuzzy to us.
Sure. Is that better?
It works. Thank you.
Okay. Ann Cuspa here, Housing Nantucket. I wanted to thank you all for your support of the middle income inclusionary zoning bylaw that was heard at this town meeting last week. So I do appreciate that. We said that we would be forming a study group about it. And I just wanted to put out there that perhaps it might be best to focus on the residential options rather than the commercial options, because those were the ones that seemed to be really controversial. And I know we don't really have a lot of time. And so just throwing it out there that ideally I would love for the planning board to pick this one up, and then we can talk about it some more. But just knowing that the special town meeting deadline is coming up soon, that perhaps it would be better to just focus on those two. So just wanted to let you all know that, and maybe we can connect afterwards.
Perfect, Ann. Thank you. I think the planning board is going to have discussions about that. We just couldn't notice it in time for this meeting. So stay tuned.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, minutes.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, we also have Emily Molden's
Oh.
hand raised.
Okay. Hi, Emily. Welcome.
Hello, thank you, Mr. Chair. Emily Molden with the Nantucket Land and Water Council. Apologies for not being there in person. I kind of spaced your first hybrid meeting. But I just wanted to ask, I noticed on a recent select board agenda, a contract for review of the subdivision rules and regulations and an update. And I was just curious what the timeline on that was and if there would be a public hearing process or component for that review and update. Thank you.
We will get back to, we'll send you an email on that and let you know where we are. Okay? Thank you. All right. Back to the agenda. No one else? Okay, great.
No.
Looking for minutes. We've got March 11th, April 8th, and May 6th. Does anyone have any questions, concerns, or edits?
No, sir.
motion to approve all three sets?
Second.
All right, motion made by Nat, seconded by Joe. Nat,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well.
We don't need to do roll call, do we?
I think we,
Just an aye, right?
No, because just the three of you are voting, only if you roll.
if it's someone's online. Okay,
Yeah.
great. All right, on to second dwellings. We're gonna do second dwellings, garage apartments. We're gonna pull out 12 Angula and 4R Jefferson Ave, because Joe has to recuse and we won't have enough votes. So we're gonna pull those out and do those next week or next meeting or in a special meeting between now and then. So it's gonna be Scarlett O'Hara, 43 Nobodere Road, John Stanton, Mary Ann Stanton, Blackberry Nominee Trust, 20 Somerset Road, Stephen L. Cohen, 72 Pocomo Road, John D. Manera, trustee for Carolyn and Matthew, irrevocable trust, 15 Maury Lane, and a tertiary dwelling at Cara Phillips, Suzanne Riddle at 19 Folger. Do the ANRs separately, correct? Yep. Okay, so I would entertain a motion on those properties.
Motion to approve.
Second?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. On to the ANRs. We're gonna have to pull out the Hunt Family Nominee Trust at 35 South Shore Road. I need to recuse and we won't have enough votes, so that's pulled. We will be voting on the Town of Nantucket, Weed Weeder Avenue, Nantucket Cottage Hospital, 18 Vesper Lane, NIR LLC at New England Development, 20 Cherry Street, 88, 90, 92, 94 Pleasant Street, Andrew E. Casp, and I'm sure I'm slaughtering that, and Janine V. at 46 Essex Road, White Elephant Hotel Residence LLC, New England Development, 72 Easton Street, Lynn McLaughlin, Little Isle Lane, way off Old South Road, East Lincoln Avenue Realty Trust at 16 Walsh, Joshua Adam Leffler and Margaret Mary Leffler, 22 Pleasant Street.
Excuse
Sir,
me,
we're-
we have to pull that one.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. That's the, yes.
22 Pleasant.
I apologize. So that one is being pulled as well. Richmond Great Point Properties LLC, Town of Nantucket Weed Weeder Avenue, and County of Nantucket Waite Drive. So again, we're pulling the Hunt Family Nominee Trust and the Leffler family at 22 Pleasant Street.
Yeah, no problem.
Entertain a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous again. Okay, on to Point Breeze Hotel, 77 Easton Street.
So this is just an old engineering escrow account that was tied to a previous owner of that property. So we're just requesting that you authorize release of any remaining balance and for the account to be closed.
Okay, great. Questions?
No. Make a motion to release the escrow.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Beachside, 30 North Beach Street.
This is just a submission for the endorsement of the plans, and planning staff recommends endorsement. I should note, all of the comments made by our consulting engineer, Mr. Pesci, have been addressed.
Great. Board members?
Motion to endorse the plans.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Okay, we're on to Scarlett O'Hara LLC, 43 Nobody Farm Road.
So this is just a request for a minor modification. Mr. Gullickson's here if you have any questions or need further clarification representing the applicant. But it's a request for a minor modification of the MCD to reconfigure an existing office space into a second dwelling. This site is still zoned RC2, so a second dwelling would be the appropriate path to get an extra dwelling unit at this property at this time. And our recommendation is to endorse as and approve as proposed with the findings and conditions outlined in the staff report. And this does have a second step of approving a secondary dwelling.
Okay, great. Ken? Welcome.
Kenneth Gullickson for the applicant. I'd be glad to answer any questions, but everything's existing physically. The building actually predates the MCD query, whether we even need to be here, but, here we are, so.
And we appreciate you being here. It seems pretty straightforward to me. Creating more housing is something we're always in favor of, so.
Yeah, agree. Now you fine?
Yes.
Motion to approve with the findings and conditions through the staff report.
Second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's an aye, right, Nat?
Yes.
In your
aye.
microphone?
Yep, aye. Sorry.
Thank you.
Gonna take
Thank
a
you, Ken.
while.
And then if you can just do the second step of the second
Oh,
dwelling.
okay, and then, so this is just to approve the second dwelling, correct?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Microphone now,
Aye, it's on.
can they hear you?
Should be.
All right, aye.
Yep. Aye.
All right, great, you're all set, thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Okay, we are on to Richard,
Well,
and, am I right here? Well, do we have to vote to, how do
So,
we deal with this?
It's okay. So we have two applications before you. This one that was listed for a continuation at 43 West Maya Comet and an additional one at 8 Wallbang. You all know, but for the benefit of those watching may not be aware, that at town meeting last week, the permit granting authority was voted to be switched from the planning board to the zoning board of appeals. So for that reason, we've been advised by town council that the planning board is no longer authorized to issue special permits in the Moreland Management District. So Under that advice, the applicant has requested to withdraw without prejudice both applications, and he will resubmit to the ZBA. So you just have to
Vote on the
vote
withdrawal.
on the withdrawal without prejudice.
Separately or together?
You can do it together. I think that's
So will
fine.
they get our minutes and notes, and will someone go kind of bring them up to speed?
Yep, so fortunately, Billy is also the staff person for the zoning board of appeals, so he, he can help facilitate that process for them,
I
so.
nominate Billy then.
So moved. Great, so, a motion to withdraw without
To accept,
prejudice.
to accept the request to withdraw without prejudice for both 43 West Myatt Comet Road and 8 Walbang Road.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Jeez.
Now we're
Killing
gonna
me,
count
man.
we're gonna count fraud.
Go back to the high school cafeteria meetings.
All right, on to Richard, Sarah, and Shannon M. Boehm at 63 New Sconset Street. Represented by Shannon.
Shannon's on, and I'm trying to promote her to.
All right, great.
She's coming over as a panelist now.
Great.
Wow.
Who would have thought this hybrid thing would be
Okay.
awkward?
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, Shannon. We can hear you, Shannon. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Shannon, you have to mute whatever's in the background. Do we
Better?
still- Yep, that's much better.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Billy,
Okay.
will you screen share the plan, and Shannon, you can maybe walk the board through what it is that you're proposing?
Sure. You want me to wait for the plan?
We're getting there.
No problem.
Sorry, Shannon, we're all getting used to hybrid meetings. We've been doing it for so long.
We are too. Don't worry.
This is interesting.
When the plan does come up, I can talk you through it even before it gets there.
That's fine.
Okay, we have a single lot in the back that we're looking to subdivide into two pieces and use Manatuck Way as our frontage. So we will have two lots back there rather than one.
Yep.
There we go.
So if I may, just to provide the board with further clarification, this is a conventional AR's two-lot subdivision with a single roadway lot. The intent of this is to only serve as a proof plan. They'll be back next month to convert into a rear lot subdivision, eliminating the roadway lot. So just for your benefit, this is really to serve as a proof plan only.
Yeah. And Shannon, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but there's been reference to waivers, and I know you have some constraints going on, and that's why it's before us and not been put off for another meeting. Could you share with us what those waivers are?
Megan, are we talking about the loan constrictions or the septic going in or?
So that's okay. It's the waivers from the rules and regulations governing the subdivision of land. So things that are typically included in these types of applications would include the width of the roadway construction, the installation of curbing, things of that nature that, you know, inevitably they wouldn't be applicable. And how we've conditioned these types of applications in the past is inserting language into the decision that this would have to be up for a review again, should it not be converted to a rear lot subdivision. And at that time, if that were to ever be the course of action that kind of move forward, we would have to have actual engineering review and things of that nature. But because it's just a proof plan, just really eliminating or requesting any applicable waivers from the subdivision rules and regulations.
Thank you, Meg.
Thank you, Megan.
Questions from the board?
Big piece of land in 20,000 square foot zoning. I mean, this is
No, I mean, I don't know.
what we want
Yeah, I don't
to
have-
happen.
have
We
a-
don't want it to look the same as it does now with just another lot in the back,
Yeah.
you know? And
I
that's the
agree.
point of it. Familiar with this property as well, so not that that matters, but that Nantucket is the thing that takes you into the old Broden property.
Gotcha.
Right. Debbie's next door.
Yep.
Great. We're going to go to the public now, I think. Billy, do we have anyone in the public?
Yeah, we have Emily Molden has her hand raised.
Great. Welcome, Emily. Just going to kill my neck.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Emily Molden again for the Nantucket Land and Water Council. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak. I do have some concerns about this proposal, certainly from a procedural perspective. I know that there's been, it's been stated that there's an intention to come back for a permit for a rear lot subdivision, but my understanding is that this special permit for the approval required subdivision still needs to meet all of the rules and regulations. And I understand there was just some discussion about the waivers. That was actually going to be one of my questions, because I know the staff report mentioned a list of waivers that was included in the packet. And I was looking for it because I did have some questions about specifically the roadway and the requirements for constructing a roadway that don't seem to have been met, but there wasn't actually a list of waivers. And I think that that's just a really important requirement for there to be for this type of special permit proposal. I wasn't entirely clear on how the waivers for the proposed roadway are being justified. Particularly, I know for a dead-end street, there's a requirement for a turning circle, and it doesn't appear from this plan that this meets those requirements. And I do think that it's necessary for that to be documented before a special permit's issued for a subdivision such as this. I also think that it's really important to determine this because, as I've brought up to the board in the past, I believe that the rear lot subdivision provisions are pretty clear. I think it's section 139.16, or no, sorry, 139.8F 3, I believe it is, section D, where it says that the number of building lots shall not exceed the number which may have otherwise been created on a conventional subdivision plan, meeting all dimensional and upland requirements of the zoning bylaw and the requirements contained within the rules and regulations governing the subdivision of land. So I think that it's extremely important, even if there's consideration for this to become a rear lot subdivision permit, for those waivers to be documented and justified in advance. So my request was going to be, since those waivers weren't provided and I didn't have an opportunity to review them, to see if this could be held over so that that information could be provided. But those are my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Board members?
May I ask a question?
I was about to s-
Yes, you may.
Okay, so my understanding when we went through all of this is that Manatuck Way would become, since it's a private road that we connect to, and that center section on the drawing where that circle is, it would be the quote unquote turnaround in order to get out of there. That there would be not only the frontage needed, but we would have access in and out, and that it is a legal private road, I believe is the right term.
No.
No. Yeah,
Meg, do you want to?
can you explain that? And then,
So let me bring this back up on the screen. So to clarify 2 points, the language in the rear lot subdivision conversion, that without waivers only applies if you're going straight to the special permit. So this is a secondary step that allows you to move forward with the special permit. As it relates to Nantucket, that's entirely separate. This property doesn't have rights in Nantucket. It does not provide them frontage, which is why you'll see there's the proposed roadway lot being created here. So this provides frontage to Lot B, frontage to Lot A, and allows them to move forward with the conventional subdivision. It's a 30-foot layout. 40 is standard for larger subdivisions, 20 is standard for rural road. Again, the intent here is to be converted, so, but this is the lot that gives them the legal frontage, this one being created.
Right, thank you.
Entirely
Sorry about
separate
that.
in Manitoba. So I hope that helps answer.
yeah,
It does.
Okay.
And if I could just ask you, and I don't want to get in, I don't want to pry, but there's a reason why Don's not here, correct? And you have time constraints involved here, is that correct?
We do.
Okay, and so if we don't move on this now, then you are gonna have some consequences that
We are.
aren't desirable. Okay, I mean, listen, for me, it's our job at government to help serve people and help them in these situations. So I don't have a problem with that, and I don't want to pry, but I think we have to help government work for people. And I think that with the conditions that staff has put in this, mainly condition number 1, that if this site is not converted to a rear lot and the applicant pursues an A&R prior to the conveyance of the lots out of common ownership, the application will be reviewed by the town's consulting engineer and the application shall comply with all recommendations. So I think that and some other conditions protect us, and I feel comfortable. I don't know how the other board members feel
I feel the same
comfortable
way.
that this isn't going to go awry on us. And I 100% respect and hear what Emily is saying. But again, with the same breath, I think we have to try to help citizens when they're in a way, if we can. And I think this is one of those times that we can help, and it doesn't do damage to anyone, and it doesn't corrupt the principle of the bylaw. So,
Appreciated.
yeah.
Agreed.
this is, and the thing is, this is a kind of a classic example of the rear lot subdivision being used in a way that does what we want. It there's a huge piece of property here in common ownership with existing dwelling actually in the right location, which is unusual. And that could be completely turned into a gigantic, where the family would have to sell the property and it would just turn into a compound of sorts. This kind of keeps it as old school as possible by having this set up this way. And they get to keep their existing property and allow for something to be let go, and without really selling everything. And I think that that's a really good option for them, compared to some of the other things that we see come in here that is unfortunate, So I think that when you start talking about waivers for real roads and curbing, I mean, if we were requiring stuff like that, that people would think we were nuts. We've already got rid of all that stuff, but that's all in the regulations. So I know where Emily's coming from, and I think we should not forget why we put this in. And the stuff that's on the ground on Nantucket now that was done prior to this, there's a lot of places that would look a lot more like the old Nantucket had we had this. So, this is the right outcome. Now, it is a special permit. There are things that we can ask for. We can ask for, donation to certain things that are going on out there in the area. We could ask for, no tertiaries. I mean, there are things that we can do in that regard, so.
Exactly, we're not abandoning all ability to direct this
We're
in
not
a
turning
good, in a good,
We're not turning the real lot subdivision into an A&R plan, is what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say, without it sounding.
Meg?
No, I was just going to say, for the benefit of the public, tertiary dwellings are prohibited in SR 20. So
Oh, well, I
the maximum
didn't know
development
that.
potential
Yeah.
would be primary, secondary for each lot.
I think of SR as R, Wisconsin,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So I didn't know that.
It's the same and just a
Yep.
little itty bit different.
Okay, well, that's good.
I mean, I honestly don't think this is an ideal situation, but I think that we need to be flexible to help our citizens if they have time constraints. I think that, again, like Nat said, we still have a special permit process left for the rear lot, which will give us a lot of ways to control what goes on here. If they decide to go the A&R route, all's not lost, because they'll be before us and waivers will be explained and dealt with at that point, so.
Should we close the public comment?
Anyone else?
This is,
Emily Molden has her hand raised again.
Welcome back, Emily.
Go ahead, Emily.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Emily here again. So just a couple more comments and then a question that I'd love to just ask. I understand that people certainly have extenuating circumstances and time restraints. I just think it's really important for the planning board to require appropriate waiver requests and justifications for all of these special permit applications. There are multiple here and they haven't been listed. It was stated that there was a list that hadn't actually been provided. And I do think that's really important for transparency. I think the other point that I would just make is I do believe that in this zoning district, the secondary residential lots are also available as far as the creation of a covenant lot, which can certainly also be done for qualified family members. And then the question that I would ask that I hope somebody can answer for me, maybe through you, Mr. Chair, to staff is, I have heard before that the rear lot subdivision provisions specifically require that all rules and regs are met if someone's going directly to the rear lot subdivision special permit, but that doing it this way allows an extra step. And so therefore waivers are allowed to be a part of that step. But I have not been able to find anywhere in the bylaw where it says that. So I would love if somebody could point me to where that process is explained. Thank you very much.
It's been our interpretation that by not saying it, it's implied that that would be the path to move forward, would be to obtain such waivers through a separate public hearing process. That decision would be rendered, the appeals period would lapse, and then the rear lot subdivision could be filed after that.
And it's also my understanding, Emily, that this lot is being subdivided to have separate ownership for siblings. So I don't think that that a covenant lot would work for them in that situation.
I think she means to make it available to be sold.
Oh.
I think that's what
But
Emily
yeah, but
meant,
these
I'm not
are
sure.
siblings that each want a
Right,
lot.
right.
So
No,
I don't
I
think
know.
that works. Even though you know how we feel about housing, we appreciate that. Emily, did we satisfy your question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One more point just to make that the secondary residential lot program does specifically have a provision that enables a secondary residential lot to be created for qualified family members, which includes siblings. It just then, I believe, states that even when it's sold outside of the family, it is given the same restriction as. So I just wanted to clarify that point for the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily.
What- yeah, okay.
Anyone else on the public?
No.
Pleasure of the board.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. As for the merits,
Motion to approve with findings and conditions.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's unanimous. We'll see you back for the rear lot subdivision.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, there. Carsey Gibson, 5 Arrowhead, and 2 Tomahawk. Gibsons, welcome. Would you guys like to represent this, or, okay. Help yourself to the microphone.
Good afternoon, thank you for your time.
Yep.
I'm Steve Gibson.
Okay. So you guys are looking to add residential, correct?
Yes.
Do you want to, why don't we have staff explain it, and then you guys can chime in? That might be a better
So
system.
essentially, this is a subdivision modification. The original subdivision dictated that each lot would be allowed 1 dwelling unit, and it would have to be located on the second story of the structure. The Gibsons have previously received relief to have that second dwelling unit, but that did not include the permission or flexibility, if you will, to allow that onto the second floor. So in short, that is all this request is doing, is modifying the subdivision to give them flexibility to move forward with the creation of housing.
100% support more housing.
And this is, we've already done this because of the crossover.
Yep, I think we did one
Yep.
last meeting. Okay,
Thank you.
yeah, I think we're good. Let's see if we have anyone in the public.
There are no hands raised.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to approve findings, the applicant's proposal in harmony with the general purpose of the zoning bylaw.
Second.
Great, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congrats, guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you. More housing is good for everybody. Get me something while you're there, please. All right, we are on to Greg Gowacki, 11 and 13 Miller Lane, Dan Malloy. Stan online? Yep.
Yeah, I'm promoting him now.
Afternoon.
Welcome,
Dan. For
Dan.
the applicant.
Welcome. We can hear you.
Okay. So I think the board has reviewed this application at a previous public hearing, and it's been continued for some time to get some engineering issues worked out. So as a quick rehash, it's a 2-lot subdivision using Miller Lane as access and frontage. The application proposes 1 new lot, again, with the expansion of Miller Lane and construction of a gravel roadway. And it was continued off so Ed Pesci could review it. We've since had a chance to talk to Ed, review his comments, and provide some drainage improvements Ed was looking for in Miller Lane. So Ed has had a chance to review that information. There's a letter in your packet, I think, which identifies his concerns. I've talked to the applicants. There's no problem with Ed's concerns in terms of if the board is inclined to make, obviously, compliance with his conditions, part of any conditions of approval. So you'd have a gravel road in Miller Lane, right about where the second Miller Lane label is where some drainage improvements will happen. Other than that, I can go into more detail. I'm just not sure if, I wasn't part of the original public hearing, so I don't know how much you've already heard on this one. But I'm happy to go into a lot more detail if you want it.
Board members? No questions?
No.
No, I think we're good. Anyone in the public, Billy?
Yeah, Emily Molden.
Great. Welcome back, Emily.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Emily Molden for the record with the Nantucket Land and Water Council. Just a question and I guess maybe more of a clarification. Certainly, we're supportive of the requests that Mr. Pesci made in his review. Again, I think for this type of project in this area, I know it's within the Wellhead Protection District, that things like the soil test pit absolutely need to be completed, and an operation and maintenance plan is definitely really important. Again, I didn't actually see a list of waivers on this one. I think what I wanted to just confirm though, because I can't quite recall from the application, is whether these parcels will be required to be on town sewer and town water.
Has to be. Has to be.
I can answer part of that. It's on town sewer, but they are using wells.
Okay. Is there water available there?
I don't believe there's a water main available on the back of Miller Lane. Not that I have seen.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You can always add the condition that once it becomes available,
Yeah.
they are required to hook in.
That road is one of those places that was never, planned to be whatever it was planned to be. That's why it's not down there. So, I can see why it isn't.
And we just don't have a list of waivers on this?
I'd much rather than have sewer than water.
It's not in the packet.
I do believe I saw in the plan board packet, there was some type of a list of waivers in there.
Those were waivers that Ed had listed as part of his review.
Oh, okay.
No, they weren't. They're part of the application.
Yeah,
Here, let me,
I see them.
I'll
They're at the
screen share.
bottom of Ed's.
I think it's maybe taken out of order in the packet, but this page I'm showing here is the original application. Because one of the waivers was a waiver from the storm drainage, and at the staff level, I politely suggested that
Yeah.
they should reconsider that before
Agreed.
moving forward at the board level.
Great. All right, anyone else on the public?
No. Oh, Emily, are you, do you have more to comment?
Thank you. Yes, just one more thing. First of all, I apologize. You're absolutely right. Those waivers are there. And then I just would definitely recommend or would appreciate the condition, or I support, I guess, the board's idea of a condition that if town water becomes available, to have them tie in. I just seem to recall from some airport commission meetings that kind of on the northern side of the airport, they have been monitoring obviously PFAS in that area. So I just think it would be a great thing to put in for the future. Thank you.
100% agree. Great. Anyone else?
No.
Nope.
Add that to the list.
Upon availability. All right, great.
Motion to close public comment?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
On to the merits.
Motion to approve with new condition 8, when water becomes available, they tie in.
Yep. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You. Hi, Nat.
Oh, Aye. Sorry.
And I'm an aye as well.
2007 all over again.
I'm telling you, this in person is just it's totally thrown my game off. I'm just like, great. Okay, from there, we are on to, Wallbang, we have 20 Water Street, LLC, 20 North Water Street.
And Arthur Reed is being promoted now.
All right, great. Welcome, Arthur.
Okay, here I am. Can you hear me?
We can, welcome.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. This is an application for the property at 20 North Water Street, which is known as the Chapman House.
Yep.
Which is a 13-unit guest house at the present time, to add a 14th room within the existing structure, within the existing massing and footprint of the existing structure, with no exterior changes. So it would be a modification of the existing special permit, which was granted to this property several years ago. And also technically a waiver of the one additional parking space that would be required. I have Jack Leary from the ownership of this property here online with me if you have any questions of him or of me. And that is all there is to it. The very brief conditions that were in the staff report are perfectly acceptable to us. And that's basically it.
Yep.
Great, thank you, Arthur. I would like to suggest the addition of a management plan. I think over the past, I don't know how many years you guys have added 4 rooms, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but I don't think we have a management plan on file, so I would like to add that in as one of the conditions.
Okay.
Yep.
Board members?
Yeah, just a quick thing here.
And any particular provisions for the management plan that you would suggest?
I didn't understand you, Arthur.
Any particular provisions for the management plan, or just one similar to what may have been done in other cases, or?
Exactly, similar to what your client has done on his other properties, because I think we've asked him for management plans on those as well, or some of them at least.
Okay.
Just wanted to say this, I mean, I know that this is sort of ad nauseum type of thing, but when we put in CDT, we knew, this was discussed at a lot, is that the stuff down North Water Street is staying in ROH, but you have to have a different mindset, especially with the stuff that's existing that's down there that you couldn't just take and make CDT in little pods. So the parking issue is sort of, has to be looked at as sort of like it's already CDT, even though it isn't, because then you're just taking everything we've done to improve that problem. You know, when I started here, there was a war over parking, literally. It was the most unbelievable nightmare dealing, especially the first one was the Brotherhood. I mean, can you imagine? So where do they go? Like, you know, build parking garage at every place. So these places have functioned for years without parking, like Grass Lantern, Periwinkle, same thing. So, but I do think adding, if there was something that was adding, you know, a significant number, that's another story. But these are existing operations, and I think that it's right to ask for what you just said, a management plan, just, and making sure that we haven't changed anything in the sense of the people that are coming are not bringing cars. There are alternative means of transportation that where these people get around that come here. So
I mean, these guys have the little golf cart.
Yeah, they got that little, in fact, I wish we'd get a couple of those with the
Yeah,
same.
I think that they realize that, and I'm sure they don't encourage their clients to, or their,
I just want
customers to bring
these
cars.
things are so infrequent, I like to bring that stuff up because it is exactly what happened when this was put in, when the CDT was put in.
Yep,
So,
yep. No, I don't have any problem with the waiver.
okay.
All right, public,
No, there are no
No one
hands raised
online.
online.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. As for the merits,
Make a motion to approve with the, well, we gotta add a condition
for the
for
management
the
plan.
management
Yep.
plan.
Yep.
And the, yeah. That's
I
my
think
motion.
that's it. No,
Sorry.
we have the note of passes in there.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think we're in a good place, so.
yeah.
So second with the amendments.
Right, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Arthur.
You need 5 votes on that, this is a special permit.
Oh, wait a second.
Yes, you, sorry, he's
God.
absolutely
Oh, God,
correct.
we're
You
just
need
totally
to
thinking
about
activate
that.
2.
Arthur, thank goodness for you.
Even though I couldn't understand a word he said, I
So-
figured that out.
No,
Who do we
let's
have-
bring
who do
Abby
we
over.
have on?
Abby.
Oh, we have all 3. You need to activate 2.
Oh, that's right.
Sorry.
Abby and John. So let's circle back again here. And can you make
Another-
the motion again, please?
Yeah, make a motion to approve the application with the addition of the third condition of a management plan.
Second.
Great.
So now you have to
Now I have to do a roll call.
Yep.
All right, motion made by Nat, seconded by Joe. Nat,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Abby,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Unanimous.
Sorry about that.
Thank you,
everyone.
Arthur, for
Arthur.
pointing that out. We're all getting used to this
Thank you.
hybrid thing. Great. Next, Road H. Wyman, trustee 5 Walwinet Road, nominee trust 5 Walwinet Road. This is special permit 2, and I'm going to do, yep, why don't we do John and Stephen this time? Is Stephen still on, right?
Here.
Great, perfect. All righty. Paul?
Thank you. For the record, Paul Santos on behalf of the applicant. 5 Walwinet Road Nominee Trust. This is a special permit application for a second driveway permit. So the filing is a special permit with the requisite waiver essentially of 13920 1B1. And if we could bring the plan up, we can simply walk through it. 5 Walwinet Road is a parcel of land that currently derives its access from Walwinet Road through Chase Lane to a single access driveway that serves a not fully developed, but a developed single-family residential parcel. This parcel is in excess of about 5 acres, and the plan that you see in front of you on the screen, the current driveway is to the east off of Walwinet Road. It's a entryway in with an on-site turnaround and parking bay, which currently provides access to the site. At one point, I'd probably say maybe somewhere between 10 and 15 years ago, you could physically drive Chase Lane and connect all the way from Walwinet Road to Eat Fire Spring Road. And if you'll notice to the west on the plan, you'll see an intersection of Eat Fire Spring and Chase Lane. That portion was ultimately cut off, and you'll see right now there's a residential driveway that enters Eat Fire Spring and enters a property to the north of this particular parcel. So what our applicant is looking to do is construct a freestanding barn on the easterly side of this property with an ultimate access that would be off of Eat Fire Spring Road or Chase Lane, thereby creating the need for the second driveway access for this particular property. I believe the frontage on Chase Lane in this case is well over 600, approximately 600 feet. This would be essentially a standard either shell or gravel drive. Eat Fire Spring is a dirt traveled way, as is Chase Lane from the access from Wawinut Road. That's essentially the extent of the application. This barn is essentially going to act as a kind of a pottery studio, a standalone building. It will not have, at this particular time, any type of plumbing in there. Will have, obviously, electricity and heat. The application that you see before you, or the plan you see before you, has received an order of conditions from the Conservation Commission. And I believe they do have a building permit in hand. What we do not have is approval for the secondary driveway access, and that's why we're before you tonight. Happy to answer any questions that you may have. I think it's a bit of a unique situation when we talk about the second driveway or the second curb cut applications, just based on the size, shape, and nature of the location of this property.
Yeah.
Happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Paul.
Paul, thank you. I'm
Yep.
really familiar with this place. I just want to just ask, and I can tell by just looking at where you've done it, you're putting it where there's some disturbance.
That's correct. There's actually a
There's
walking
little-
path.
It's kind of a thing
Yeah,
to do
there's
back there.
already kind of a
So
walking
we're
path.
just going to improve what's already sort of, we're not like mowing down the world to make Chase Lane turn into Wee Weeder and Pochick, and that's their version.
No,
of
correct.
Wee Weeder out there. That road goes on forever.
Yeah, that road, I mean, as I said, it was probably
Yeah.
maybe less than 10 years ago. You could drive all
Yeah.
the way through. If you pull that down a
No, I
little bit,
remember
Billy,
doing that. We used to,
where you see
yeah.
that kind of turnaround, that's a residential drive right there, but that used to go right through. It's just
Yeah.
overgrown in the last
Yeah.
few years. Yeah.
that property's changed hands
Yeah.
numerous times, and it just changed hands again. So I assumed you were doing that. I just wanted to make
Yeah.
that clear for the record, that you're just disturbing what's kind of was already disturbed.
Correct.
Good. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense. I don't think it has any impact on anyone else in the area, and it's just a common sense gimme.
Yeah.
Great.
Anybody online?
No,
Oh.
there are no hands raised.
Oh, yeah.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second,
All right, great. Motion made by Steven, seconded by Nat. Nat,
aye.
Steven,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. As for the merits,
Motion to approve the second curb cut, well, second.
Second.
Yes.
all right, motion made by Nat, seconded by Steven. Nat,
Aye.
Steven,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well.
Thank you.
I think you're up next as well. Don Allen Service, Inc., modification number 3, 222426 Pulpus Road. Paul Santos.
Again, for the record, Paul Santos with Nantucket Surveyors on behalf of the property owner, Don Allen Auto Service, Inc. With me tonight, too, is Eric Evans from the Don Allen Service, representing Don Allen Service, Auto Service, Inc. This is a application for an amendment to a previously granted special permit. Specifically, we are looking for an amendment to an existing MCD. This would be modification 4 to Planning Board File Number 3203. I won't go into full detail here, but there's a Planning Board history for this particular property that deals specifically with the MCD application I previously referenced. And there's also a Zoning Board of Appeals history that essentially predated the official MCD filing on the subject property. This property was also subject of Article 47 at the 2012 annual town meeting, in which the property was rezoned from a limited commercial 1, or limited use general 1, lug 1, to the village neighborhood district. That reclassification actually cured and made unnecessary some of the previous ZBA filings, because some of those had to do with ground cover, obviously for the limited amount of ground cover that was available for this property under the lug 1 use that had previously been there. So the reason we're before you tonight, and I'll read essentially from the body of the application, it's not too lengthy, and I think it's fairly complete. On behalf of the owner and applicant, Nantucket Surveyors hereby submits the request to modify an existing major commercial development. Applicant is proposing to construct a 1,600 square foot storage shed, add an additional square footage of 700 square feet to the existing auto showroom and offices. We've also implemented a small tire carousel to the north of the existing service building. That's part of this application also. Those 3 additions, if I could show you on the plan, you're familiar with the 2 entrances to the property. As you come in the auto service showroom, you'll see 2 shaded areas to the left of the kind of the bump out there, if you will. There's 2 areas there, approximately 700 square foot in total, that we would add to the auto showroom. Those are those 2 hatched areas to the lower left of that screen. Tire carousel is a small addition to the north side of the service building. It's a small addition there, which would consolidate on the inside of the building an area, essentially what it is, a tire carousel for internal working within the service area. And then to the far right of the site, when you come in, we would be constructing an exterior shed, which would act as an area to kind of consolidate some of the things that are being stored outside, unprotected, invisible. They would go into essentially a shed, or essentially would look like a barn type of structure with 2 sliding doors on the front. And it would eliminate some of that exterior storage that occurs on the east side of the property. That's one component to the application. The second component would be to increase the number of on-site employee housing units from 2 to 6 units, thereby increasing the number of bedrooms from 5 to 14. The employee housing will be constructed in the second floor of both the auto showroom and the auto service building. So those of you that are familiar with the property, as you come into the property on the westerly side, there's actually a small dwelling unit that currently houses employees at that particular point in the property. And there's also 1 unit at the top of the auto showroom building that is providing employee housing. So both the additions on the auto showroom and then the renovation of the service area building second floor have given us the ability to create employee housing on the property within the confines of the buildings, with some small additions and then internal renovations. Many of you remember the recent subdivision that was done for the abutting property, and at which time the acknowledgement and fact that that right-of-way that you see right through the middle of the property there was not part of the Don Allen property. That was actually a piece of land that was in separate ownership. Don Allen had rights in that property that had been used for some time. Through that subdivision filing between Don Allen and the abutting property owner, I think it was Calnan was his name, was represented by Arthur Reed, I believe, at the time.
Yep.
An agreement was worked out where there would be a land swap that would be completed that would bring that centerpiece into the Don Allen ownership in exchange for the piece of land on the outside that would kind of consolidate and make this all make more sense for both property owners.
Yep.
So the second part of the application, if you will, essentially the third part, if we look at the additions as 1 and the housing as 2, The applicant is also requesting that the board accept the inclusion of Lot 154, which is that center right-of-way, as depicted on Land Court Plan 1093724 into the MCD, and releases from the MCD a portion of Lot 75 as depicted on Land Court Plan 10937U, which would be the new roadway that would access the residential subdivision on the Callan property. This would be all effective upon the transfer of the ownership between Don Allen Auto Service, Inc. and John J. Callan, trustee of the John J. Callan 2015 Trust. That work is in process. This is registered land. This is obviously going through the land court. Once this is all transferred, again, we are requesting that the MCD then would release the two parcels from and bring into the one parcel into the MCD component of the application. With regard to the general application itself, the construction of the storage shed will result in the loss of approximately 9 designated parking spaces. Billy, if we could slide that plan, or Megan, to the area where the storage shed is, the other way.
The other way. It's in there.
We'll go over here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. There we go there. If you can see there, the hatched area is where the storage shed is proposed. The storage shed, that addition there would eliminate 9 designated parking spaces that were on the original MCD approval. So the construction of the storage shed will result in the loss of 9 designated parking spaces. With the addition of 4 employee housing units, the applicant contends that the parking on the site will be sufficient to accommodate the modification request. It's important to note that within section 139(18)B, there's no specific designated use that can be applied to this particular property. In addition, the number of cars on the subject lot fluctuates on a daily basis. Therefore, the applicant requests the board find that the parking provided is adequate and a waiver be granted pursuant to 139(18)C, which states, for other permitted uses or uses by exception which are not covered in 139(18)B, comparably adequate off-street parking shall be required and shall be reasonably determined by the zoning enforcement officer or the special permit granting authority, which in this case would be the planning board. Our contention is that the site, the original application that was filed, there was a general idea of how many parking spaces were shown on the site. I think it was in excess of 150 or so. Subsequent to that time, the MCD was modified to acquire the vacant lot, which is basically where the display area currently is. The area with the housing was brought into the MCD. So over time, obviously the site has run and operated what we feel is efficiently. We know what the parking requirements are, and we don't feel that losing these 9 spaces, quite honestly, they're occupied with outside storage right now anyway, that what's currently on the site works. The addition of the employee housing, those employees are typically on the site anyway and parking, and that we'd ask the board to find that the elimination of those 9 spaces and how the site presently works is adequate to continue with no additional need for adding any parking areas or doing anything additional on the site. So the application itself would not change open space, would not change anything to do with regard to adding impervious area, the need to add drainage or any type of infrastructure. So basically, we're saying that the proposed modification should not alter the amount of open space existing on the subject lots. Therefore, the applicant requests the board confirm the findings in modification 3, which was the previous modification, and finds that the proposed modification to the MCD special permit will not increase the intensity on the subject site and will not increase the amount of existing open space on the original site. So obviously, what we're trying to do here is create employee housing. As you know, it's a problem for many businesses, whereas typically Don Allen might have to go off island and look for housing. They have the facility here, they have the infrastructure. With some internal work and some additions, I think it's a pretty good number of employee housing spaces and units that we can get and house employees right on the subject property. I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have. Eric is here. And that's the extent of the proposal.
Great, thank you, Paul. Board members,
Do you want to promote someone?
do we have to, or no, we didn't?
Is this a
This is, we gotta
special
activate too.
permit? Yeah. This used to be a
Abby and
ZBA
Stephen?
thing.
Stephen,
Because you got John twice, so.
yeah, Abby and Stephen.
So, Paul, appreciate everything. We were subject to finding out about all the insanity that went on here for years. Mr. Murray and everything else. I had no clue about it. This was like the place Harbor Terrace. It reminded me of that.
Yeah.
So the fact that you've got this in motion and there's no other attorneys chiming in, that means I know everything is all set, because this was complicated.
Oh, yeah.
So you're asking staff to draw up a condition that allows this transaction to happen without another hearing when the land court is done?
Correct.
That's what you're asking?
That's correct. So the decision would basically read that once the
They
land
can move
transfer.
forward
Yeah.
with all the stuff they have to do, which is unbelievable,
Yeah.
and the land court will putz along
Yeah.
with their little slow way of doing things, and all of a sudden, it'll be able to happen without having to schedule another meeting.
Correct. I think the only thing that really would be contingent upon the transfer would be the inclusion.
Garage, I mean, the shed thing,
I think that the shed and the housing and everything else could be done.
without any.
Without having
No, no,
that,
I
because
know.
none of that's
I meant-
occurring.
I just
Yeah.
meant for just, okay.
Yes, to
Whatever.
answer your question, I don't want to have to come back.
Yeah, for anything.
Once the
Shouldn't
transfer is
have to.
effective, Lot 154 is removed from is no longer part of the MCD, and the subdivision road is now no longer part of the
The
MCD.
fact that you got this Lot 6 thing to work, to offset the unbelievable easement from the 1970 or 60s or whatever it was, I
Yeah,
still
it was
can't
the Murray,
believe it. So this is great. I mean, I
That's what
think
we
it's
saw.
awesome.
I can't even imagine what was going on behind the scenes, so
no.
thank you.
I mean, I felt like I just got here yesterday when I found this stuff out.
Yeah.
So
And that went back to, was it?
it's nice that it
Harvard
can
Field
work.
on that
It's
one?
good that
Yeah.
you've had the relationship
Yeah.
with the people on Brewster Road to make this happen, so. So that's it. That's all I got, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
I am fine with everything they've done. I'm really happy this subdivision worked out. Plus, we're gonna get an extra 9 beds. I think this is a win for Nantucket as far as
Yep.
employee housing. I really think this is a great job, and thank you, Easy, for, kind of pushing this forward. And the rest of the John Allen group. So, yeah, I don't have a problem. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's one of the few applications where parking is not a concern. Anyone in the public?
No,
All
no,
righty.
There you
no
go.
one there.
Motion to close.
Second.
All right, motion made by Nat, seconded by Joe. Nat,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Abby,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. As for the merits,
Motion to approve with that the applicant's proposal is in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the zoning bylaw, and the 3 conditions and the 4th, Megan, which I'm not gonna repeat, because I don't know how, but to release, when, you get that figured out, that language with the applicant, okay? So it's legal with land court, et cetera, okay. And that's my motion, Mr. Chairman.
I will second with his amendments.
Mr. Chair, I just have a quick, condition 1 was a copy and paste error on my fault because they're not,
subdividing.
we don't want them to comply with the screening requirements
No.
as outlined in the
I'm sorry, I
bylaw. We
should've
want them to
said- I
change,
would've
we want
conditional.
that to stay the same.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
okay.
All right, we're good?
Do we have to list the parking waiver thing? Or is that already, that's all set? Okay, good.
Okay.
Thank you.
So motion made by Nat, seconded by Joe.
Yes.
Nat,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Abby,
Aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. That's unanimous.
Talk about.
Thank you,
Thank you very much.
Talk about housekeeping.
Thanks,
That
guys.
is
It's a
good one.
unbelievable.
If I could make one public comment too, and Nat and Catherine will remember, but every time we talk about parking downtown, I think fondly of Sylvia Howard. Because remember, for those of you 20 years ago,
Four
remember,
Chestnut Street, the shoehorn. There's
Sylvia,
actually
you could not-
There's actually a motorcycle with a sidecar.
you could not get a parking waiver out of Sylvia. God love her.
Yep.
Even
Four
if you had
Chestnut.
150 parking spots on your lot?
Need one more. Need one more.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Great. Okay, thank you. On to other business. Letter from the fire department.
So that was included in your packet more as an FYI that this conversation is taking place at the staff level.
Yeah.
As you all are aware, we are undergoing a review of our subdivision rules and regulations at this time. And I think that would be the perfect opportunity to bring Chief Cranston in for discussion as a part of that process.
I think Nat needs to meet with the fire chief on this
Okay,
one.
yes.
What we have to do.
Hold it together. Hold.
I mean, when I read that, it's okay, you know? This is one of those things that has to be talked about historically. And like what we did out, I was thinking after this, I read this, I'm like thinking about Wing Spread and Shakamo Hills, for example, or those roads up by Maxie's, where we used to do hammerheads, and we did turn in circles. But the width of the road issue is a whole nother conversation. And all new people that come here from wherever that are in these capacities, whether it's DPW, fire, police, anybody that's in those kind of positions has to have that sort of Nantucket conversation with this stuff. We had it with Squam Road when we invented the term turnout. Now it's on plans. It's actually a real term. I don't know if it's anywhere but Nantucket, but it's on plans here. And that was another place we had a huge, when we get that agreement with the Squam Association to not widen that road beyond the widths that were variable, like here and there it's wide, but then it has turnouts. These kind of conversations have to happen so they understand that we can't just make stuff wide, like unnecessarily. It will turn into a huge problem. We've kind of got past all that. Arthur was on, there was a second dwelling down at Low Beach where it gets really narrow and deep. And that got held up for years because at the time, you mentioned Sylvia, required the road to be widened for one house. Like, it would have been enough dirt to build up the beach at Baxter Road coming out of there if they did that. Like, it's impossible, you know? And these are the kind of things, we've moved beyond all this stuff in the last, 8 years or so. So I look forward to being able to talk to him, because he's doing a great job, and this is just part of this whole.
Welcome to Nantucket.
Welcome to Nantucket.
Welcome to Nantucket.
I mean, he's probably already been told why Gardner Street can't be one way, or can't be widened, I guess. It's difficult, it really is to have that conversation.
And I think we all appreciate the safety concerns, but
Yeah.
I think my greatest concern is what's that gonna do to the character of the island that we're trying to preserve?
Right.
So
There are
Country
places-
Road looks in
yeah.
place, I mean, I'm sure you would have a lot to say about what the impact of this is, and,
I'm just curious.
He knows, I mean,
yeah.
Gardner Road's
Yeah.
18 feet, right?
Should we just post it for the public? Should we post it for the public?
Is that
It was in our
That-
packet.
No,
No, I
this
know,
was-
I didn't know
Oh,
on
is
the
this
screen.
just
It just
an
didn't.
Yeah,
type
this is
thing?
just kind of an FYI,
Yeah.
so you
Yeah.
all knew that this conversation was happening, and I think there will be opportunity for public comment on this in the future, particularly as the subdivision rules and regs we're working through edits on that.
Perfect.
The rural road alternative, I still think that's in somewhere. That was something that was done a long time ago. It is,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Because we did that with, God, what the heck is it called? Mrs. Lamb's Chaos Corner, take a left.
Oh, Medui Creek.
Yeah,
area.
Medui Creek is 14 feet wide. Washing Pond is 16. Like, it's But I can tell you, when a fire truck goes up Washington Pond Road, everybody just pulls over. Like, there's not gonna be a problem. You know, so this is where we get into the feeder road situation versus a main road. You know, so
We'll figure it out.
it'll be fine.
Yep.
It'll all be fine.
Alrighty.
So, anything else?
I mean, we could go a couple more hours. if
No,
you're
I gotta,
interested.
my little buddy, I'm gonna get home for his birthday.
Oh, is it Sam's birthday?
Yeah.
Awesome. Wish him happy birthday
Yes,
from us.
happy birthday.
I would entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn,
Second.
our first
All
time.
in favor?
We have to do roll call? No, we
No.
don't, just the three of us. Aye. Thank you, staff. Thank you, everyone.
Staff,
you.
thank you guys, you're the best.
One.
Happens.
Ah, you got
My
him.
signing
Got him.
hand is broken, so